finding purpose and independence in the later years. Have you ever pondered what it truly means to age gracefully, holding on to your independence even as the challenges of aging loom? In today's exploration, we delve into the inspiring life of Grandfather Park, a remarkable 70-year-old who discovered a unique path to comfort and dignity in his twilight years, defying traditional norms of elderly care. Through his story, we glimpse the realities that many seniors face, from the emotional struggle of relying on family to the practical burdens of daily life, which can often feel overwhelming. Grandfather Park's experience reveals how genuine relationships can flourish in unexpected ways, as he builds a profound bond with a young couple finding both companionship and mutual support. By staying with us until the end, you'll gain valuable insights into the importance of creativity in elder living arrangements, the impact of emotional bonds, and practical tips to navigate similar challenges. Grandfather Park's journey began with a series of attempts to find a living arrangement that felt right for him. He lived with his children, employed a caregiver, and even tried life in a nursing home. But each of these experiences left him yearning for something more fulfilling. After much reflection, and by a stroke of luck, he found an arrangement that finally gave him the comfort and autonomy he had long sought, a sanctuary that brought him a sense of peace. Now, he embraces this new chapter with joy, grateful for a life that continues to be his own. Reflecting on his past, he recalls the sense of security he felt when his spouse was by his side, a partner who shared hospital visits filled with laughter and camaraderie, making even the most difficult moments bearable. Yet when his spouse passed, the thought of going to the hospital alone filled him with dread and anxiety, leaving him physically and emotionally drained. Though he has a son and daughter who love him, they are deeply involved in their own busy lives. Out of love, he refrained from asking for their help, not wanting to become a burden. Ironically, this desire to protect them resulted in his children taking on more care responsibilities than he anticipated. Then came an unexpected turn of events. A stumble at the market led to a hospital stay, followed by the doctor's orders for a 6-month recovery. His children suggested that he rotate between their homes, staying 3 months with each. Despite their efforts to make him feel welcome, he couldn't escape the feeling of being an outsider, a sentiment that echoed a poignant saying, "A parent's home is always the child's home, but the child's home can never truly be the parent's." This truth weighed heavily on his heart as he longed for a space that was truly his own. His children's hospitality, though generous, could not erase the sense of loneliness etched into his experience. Meals alone in his room, while his children laughed and talked in another part of the house, left him feeling like a visitor in a world that had become unfamiliar. Yet in his new living arrangement, Grandfather Park has found a sanctuary that lets him retain his dignity and independence, a place where his spirit is renewed. It's more than just a roof over his head. It's a newfound freedom, a life of joy and connection in his golden years. As you watch and reflect on Grandfather Park's journey, consider the resilience, community, and wisdom embedded in his story. This heartfelt journey might reshape the way you think about aging and inspire you to embrace the art of living well, no matter your stage in life. If you find value in these reflections, consider supporting the channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing, or even just leaving a comment below to let us know how we can keep improving and bringing meaningful content to your screen. Let's begin this exploration of resilience, community, and the strength found in life's final chapters. Number 1, longing for connection amidst the struggles of aging. Each mealtime brings a fresh wave of heartache, a reminder of how isolated I truly am. When my children casually suggest I prepare my own meals, it feels more like a polite dismissal than an invitation to independence. I can't help but feel their subtle disdain, as though I'm viewed as a relic of the past, a figure weighed down by years, perhaps a bit messy, and certainly out of touch with their modern world. Though I try to brush these feelings aside, the coldness in our conversations cuts deeper than any physical pain, leaving me feeling invisible in my own family. I know my thoughts might seem outdated, and I'm aware that my words can sometimes come out jumbled, but I can't help reflecting on the simpler times when they were young. Back then, life was filled with shared laughter and unspoken understanding. Now, as I navigate this unfamiliar and complex landscape of aging, I find myself increasingly struggling with their cool, almost distant demeanor, which underscores how disconnected I feel from my own kin. After 6 long months of living at my children's homes, the yearning to return to my own space grew undeniable. My small, humble home may not be much, but it holds echoes of the life I once cherished, a place where I felt truly at peace. In that moment, I came to understand the truth of the saying, "All that glitters is not gold." Though limited in size and luxury, my home holds my memories, my independence, and a sense of autonomy I long to reclaim. Yet my recent leg injury is a painful reminder of my vulnerability. The relentless ache and restricted mobility make even simple tasks feel like monumental challenges. Living alone, I face these struggles head-on, with grocery shopping being the most daunting of all. Each trip to the market takes a toll on me. By the time I return, my legs throb, and I am drenched in cold sweat, a harsh reminder of my frailty. Reluctantly, I decided to hire a caregiver, a choice that weighs heavily on my already strained finances. The monthly salary of $500,001 is a bitter pill to swallow, especially since it exceeds my modest pension. I wrestle with the guilt of burdening my children financially, relying on the minimal $10,001 they each send me monthly to make ends meet. This arrangement highlights the difficulties of aging on a limited income, where even basic help can feel out of reach. Though I yearn for nourishing, comforting meals, I have accepted that, in my world, simply being full is enough. I can't justify the expense of lavish meals when my limited budget dictates otherwise. This frugality, however, affects my caregivers as well. In wealthier households, caregivers are welcomed with warmth, stability, and meals that nourish both body and soul. Sadly, the caregivers who come into my home often leave within days, unable to adapt to what they perceive as meager rations. The constant turnover is a stark reminder of the emotional and physical toll that this lifestyle takes on me. Number 2, rediscovering independence amid the struggles of aging. They say the meals I provide are like rabbit feed, too sparse to fuel the energy needed for their demanding work. This disheartening feedback comes from the caregivers who seldom stay long, discouraged by the modest conditions and frugal meals I can offer. Even the agencies hesitate to send caregivers, knowing that these circumstances are unlikely to bring them satisfaction or stability. With each departure, my heart grows heavier as I confront the reality that I may need to consider alternatives I had long hoped to avoid. Unable to secure consistent help at home, I find myself contemplating life in a nursing home. a thought that feels like yet another loss in a series of painful adjustments. I long for warmth and a sense of belonging, yet the prospect of asking my son for assistance in this transition fills me with dread. It is a harsh acknowledgement of the distance that has slowly grown between us, a sobering reminder that the journey of aging often leads us to places we never wished to go. The nursing home I eventually entered was far from the ideal of a comfortable, well-equipped space. Yes, it was affordable, but the amenities were minimal, and the environment lacked the comforts that could have made my stay more bearable. Despite the facility's shortcomings, it aligned with my pension, and I took some solace in the thought that my children no longer had to bear the financial strain of hiring caregivers. This small comfort allowed me to accept the situation, feeling that at least in some small way I was lightening their load. However, my free-spirited nature clashed with the rigid, almost military-style communal living enforced at the nursing home. The structured schedules, the impersonal routines, it felt stifling, and despite my best efforts to adapt, I struggled to conform to this new way of life. The days dragged, each one blending into the next, and after a month of feeling confined and out of place, I made the difficult decision to leave. Returning to my own home was like a breath of fresh air. I resumed my solitary life, which, despite its challenges, felt like a reclaiming of the independence I so deeply valued. Then, as if by fate, a small but meaningful blessing arrived. An online grocery shopping service became available in my area. With newfound convenience, I asked my daughter to place daily grocery orders online. Each order could be picked up from a small mart, conveniently located at the entrance of my apartment complex. This simple change was a lifeline. No longer did I need to endure long walks to fetch groceries. My legs ached less, and I could once again enjoy a semblance of normalcy and autonomy. The young couple who ran the mart quickly became an unexpected source of kindness in my life. Observing my struggles with mobility, they went out of their way to offer help, always extending a warm greeting and a helping hand when I needed it most. Their compassion was a reminder that, even in solitude, small connections can bring profound comfort. In this quiet, renewed life, I found a sense of peace that I hadn't thought possible. While my journey through the uncertainties of aging has been anything but easy, the kindness of others and the resilience I've rediscovered have shown me that even in the face of loss, there is still dignity and independence to be found, feasible forever. Yet the thought of losing my independence weighed heavily on my mind. One day, while I waited to pick up my usual items, I overheard the young couple having an intense conversation. As I stood quietly beside them, their voices revealed the strains of their financial struggles. The wife, visibly concerned, argued for taking more than $100,000 won from their limited budget to buy a durian, a rare treat for their daughter. Her passionate plea reflected a mother's love, but her husband, equally concerned for their financial stability, countered her reasoning. He reminded her of their precarious situation and questioned the wisdom of spending on luxuries when their daughter's school fees needed to be covered. Listening to their exchange, I felt an overwhelming empathy for them, a shared sense of struggle that underscored how fragile the balance between joy and survival can be. Hearing their heartfelt discussion, an idea struck me like a bright light, illuminating a dark room. Moved by their kindness and sensing an opportunity to help one another, I approached the young couple with a proposal. I offered to pay them $200,000 each month if they could assist me with daily tasks. doing my laundry, tidying up my living space, and preparing 2 simple meals. I assured them that I didn't need anything elaborate, just basic, nourishing food to get me through each day. This arrangement, I believed, would ease their financial strain while providing me with the daily assistance I so often needed, but hesitated to ask for. Their faces lit up with surprise and gratitude as they considered the idea. I could see that this partnership would not only provide them with a steady income, but also allow me to maintain my independence and dignity without feeling like a burden to my children. Our lives, woven together by a shared sense of resilience and empathy, found new meaning in this mutually supportive relationship. The thought of growing older became less daunting, knowing that I had kind friends nearby who understood my needs and whose own lives might be a little easier because of this simple, heartfelt arrangement. Number 3, a mutual blessing and a lasting bond. When I first proposed to the young couple the idea of helping me daily for $200,000 a month, I could see a flicker of hesitation in their eyes, a mix of disbelief and humility. They initially hesitated, expressing that they didn't feel right accepting money from someone they considered a friend. Their reluctance was heartwarming, yet I gently insisted, reassuring them that this was a gesture of goodwill and that I genuinely wanted to support them financially. With some nudging, they finally agreed, and I sensed their reservations giving way to an acceptance of this unique opportunity. For me, this arrangement was not only practical, but also a blessing in disguise. Paying $200,000 was a small fraction of what a professional caregiver or nursing home would have cost, yet it allowed me to maintain my independence and have the companionship I so craved. Each day, they carved out time to come to my home, bringing a sense of life and warmth with them. As they prepared meals and tidied up, their presence transformed my space into something vibrant and alive, easing the loneliness that often accompanies living alone in one's older years. The routine we established together filled me with a quiet joy that I hadn't felt in a long time. Over time, our relationship evolved beyond that of employer and employee. They became a cherished part of my life, a friendship that brightened my days and filled my heart with gratitude. Their dedication, compassion, and meticulous care continually surprised me. And at 80 years old, I never expected to find such companionship outside of family or hired help. Knowing that I could navigate my golden years without the fear of loneliness or the confines of a nursing home filled me with immense peace. In gratitude for all they had done, I made a heartfelt promise to the young couple. If they continued to care for me with the same dedication, I would give them a bonus of $5 million. Their eyes lit up with joy and disbelief at this promise. They shared how much that amount would mean to them, bringing them a sense of security they had been yearning for. Their gratitude touched me deeply, and their words of kindness only strengthened our bond. They told me that they hoped, in the future, they could offer this same level of care to other elderly individuals they might encounter. Their heartfelt sentiment reminded me that true friendship and genuine care know no bounds, regardless of age or circumstance. This young couple had not only filled my days with kindness and care, but they had also shown me that the simple act of helping each other can create a profound, lasting joy, one that would carry me through my twilight years with dignity and peace. Number 4, a father's heartache and a daughter's silent struggle. In the twilight of my years, I, Grandpa Kim, am left with a heart heavy from witnessing my daughter's silent suffering, a pain that only deepens as each year passes. At 80, after the loss of my beloved wife 3 years ago, I've been navigating life alone, holding on to the fragile threads of family that remain. My only daughter, now in her late 50s, has spent most of her life devoted to others, with little joy or respite for herself. Her husband, whose income is meager, has failed not only to provide, but has cast a shadow over her life with his harsh and abusive ways. My heart aches as I watch her endure a marriage that brings her only sorrow. The love that should have uplifted her has instead become a source of torment, trapping her in a cycle of caregiving and commuting, with little time to cherish any personal happiness. Her days have been reduced to the relentless rhythm of duty as she cares for her husband and son without a moment's peace. Every attempt she makes to escape this life, every whispered hope of freedom, is cruelly silenced by her husband's rage. His ability to manipulate, to keep her tethered despite everything, is a chilling reminder of how power and control can destroy someone's spirit. My daughter, despite her strength, finds herself unable to break free. Each time she mentions divorce, his violent outbursts effectively silence her dreams of liberation. In our household, there is no one who can stand up for her. No other men but myself, an elderly man unable to intervene. This absence of protection has emboldened him, knowing he can act without fear of repercussion. Her vulnerability hangs heavy over me, a constant reminder of how powerless I am to shield her from this nightmare. And then there is my grandson. Now a young man in his 20s, he has grown up in the shadow of this tumultuous environment. As much as I wish for him a life of kindness and peace, I fear the effects of years spent witnessing such turmoil. He too has been molded by this family dynamic, carrying the weight of his mother's silent struggles. Through all this, I've clung to my own dignity, despite the loneliness and helplessness I feel. Even now, as my physical strength wanes, I am determined to be there for her in whatever way I can. I want her to know that she is not alone in her suffering, that I still carry her burdens in my heart, even if I can't take action as I once might have. If you are listening to this story, please know that this is more than a tale of hardship. It is a call to recognize the unseen struggles many endure in silence. For my daughter, and for those like her, I continue to hope for a brighter day, a day when love no longer binds them to sorrow, but instead sets them free. Number 5, aging in solitude, a father's burden and a daughter's struggle. In the shadows of my twilight years, I find myself facing a deep and unrelenting sorrow. My daughter, bound in a marriage overshadowed by control and intimidation, struggles silently, unable to protect herself. I'm left powerless to offer her the support she needs. During my wife's lifetime, we leaned on each other, surviving the trials life handed us with a resilience built on love. But since her passing, the weight of existence has grown unbearably heavy. Last year, a devastating stroke struck me down, leaving me paralyzed on my right side, shattering dreams of independence and filling me with despair. In those early days of recovery, I cried often, mourning not only my lost abilities, but the vision I had for my family, a life filled with love, respect, and stability. I had hoped to remain my daughter's protector and provider, her quiet strength. But now, sitting here, I am forced to reckon with the reality that I lack both the family support and financial resources to secure adequate elder care, a lifeline that feels far out of reach. My modest monthly pension of $38,001 and a small savings of $1,000,001 seem like mere drops in the ocean when weighed against the costs of aging. The idea of moving into a nursing home or hiring a caregiver feels like an unattainable luxury, leaving me to navigate this path alone. The strain of this situation deepens with each passing day, magnified by memories of the day my grandson took me home from the hospital, a brief but comforting respite in the whirlwind of my declining health. My daughter, too, remains trapped by the oppressive demands of her household. Her husband's nature has left her isolated, unable to ask for the help she so desperately needs, and despite her recent retirement, she remains buried under the weight of her responsibilities. Preparing meals and caring for her husband consume her days, leaving her with no freedom to find joy or fulfillment in her own life. Upon my return home, I began relying on food delivery for my meals, adjusting to this new chapter with a blend of gratitude and frustration. My grandson, ever the loyal soul, orders food online for me, helping me maintain some semblance of independence. Yet each delivery serves as a reminder of the limitations and uncertainties that now define my life. In these quiet moments, I reflect on the love and resilience that carried us through before, wishing I could offer my daughter the strength she needs, as she has been left without a protector in her corner. The loneliness is a profound reminder of how fragile life becomes, yet I hold on to hope that perhaps, even in this solitude, I may find a way to lighten her burden and bring her some semblance of peace. Number 6. A grandfather's sacrifice. Choosing paths for independence and family. As my health declined, managing even the smallest tasks became a daily struggle, with each meal delivery feeling like a lifeline. My grandson, ever dutiful, would place my orders online, and I'd transfer him 10,001 each time. I left my door open for the delivery person, allowing them to hand my meals directly to me. It was a small gesture, but it helped me maintain a sense of normalcy in an otherwise challenging existence. Occasionally, my grandson would help with chores, emptying the bathroom, assisting with bathing, or taking out the trash. Yet over time, his visits became tinged with subtle frustration. One day, his words cut deep. He confessed that he felt overwhelmed, worried that his commitment to me might drive his girlfriend away. Though painful, his honesty forced me to confront a harsh truth. My needs were becoming a burden on him. He is young, with dreams and a life of his own. The last thing I wanted was to impede his happiness. The realities of elder care hit hard. A nursing home costs a minimum of 500,001, far beyond the reach of my modest pension, and home caregivers are even pricier. With options dwindling, I spent sleepless nights searching for a solution, unwilling to drain my limited resources, but unable to continue as things were. Finally, after many anxious nights, I found an approach that seemed viable, one that offered a glimmer of peace. For the first time in what felt like ages, I slept soundly, my mind at ease. When the weekend arrived, I felt an urge to speak with my grandson. I called him early, my voice carrying the weight of urgency and hope. Although he mentioned he was busy, he sensed something different in my tone and agreed to come. His arrival filled me with relief as he settled beside my bed, where I had prepared myself to share 2 choices with him. With a heart full of resolve, I laid out the options before him. Number 7. Choosing family over solitude, a grandfather's path to shared joy. Faced with the inevitability of aging, I presented my grandson with 2 options that would shape the rest of our lives. The first was to sell our family home, a place brimming with love and cherished memories, to cover the cost of entering a nursing home where I'd live out my days far from family warmth. The thought of such a lonely existence was daunting. The second option held more promise. I offered to transfer ownership of the house to him, on the condition that he'd live with me, perhaps start a family here, and allow our home to remain a center of togetherness and care. To ease his apprehensions, I shared my modest savings of $1,000,001, meant to assist with household expenses, emphasizing that this arrangement was not solely about care. I understood the weight of asking a young person, barely in his 20s, to take on such responsibility. It's often said that even biological children may struggle to care for aging parents. How much more demanding might it be for a grandson from another generation? This recognition humbled me. To lift some of the burden, I proposed hiring a part-time caregiver for essential tasks like preparing meals and doing laundry at a reasonable monthly cost of $210,001, comfortably within my $380,001 pension. I hoped that, by keeping the more demanding duties separate, my grandson would feel freer to focus on shared companionship and occasional assistance during moments when I needed it most. Having someone by my side offered not just physical support, but the invaluable peace of mind that, in emergencies, to my delight, my grandson embraced the idea. He expressed that living with me would bring relief from the strained environment with his father. His enthusiasm filled me with gratitude, affirming that this could bring joy and purpose to both our lives. Our spacious home, with its welcoming rooms and familiar comforts, was ready to accommodate even a growing family if he married and had children someday. The very next day, my grandson found a caregiver through an agency, and I arranged to pay her a monthly salary of $180,001. Her presence from morning until evening provided structure and support. Each day, she arrived at 9 a.m. to tend to the home, wash my clothes, and prepare lunch, returning later to help with dinner and evening routines. With this balance of family and professional care, I felt a profound sense of peace settle within me, knowing our home would remain a sanctuary of love and warmth. This arrangement, rooted in family and support, brought a renewed sense of security to my twilight years. Number 8. The security of thoughtful planning, crafting a peaceful old age. In this new chapter of my life, I've created an environment where love, support, and family unity flourish. Thanks to my careful planning, I've been able to provide the caregiver with a monthly allowance of $1,001 for meals. This amount is usually sufficient, with some returned at the end of each month, as I generally eat only 2 meals a day and prefer simpler dishes without much meat. With my modest eating habits, I find this arrangement more than enough to meet my needs. Living with my grandson has added immeasurable warmth and joy to my life. We've worked together to make repairs to our home, turning it into a more comfortable and convenient space for all of us. What fills my heart with joy is the way the caregiver, my grandson, and my granddaughter interact harmoniously, creating a sense of family unity that I deeply cherish. Watching these relationships thrive brings me a satisfaction and peace that I never imagined possible. Financially, I feel secure. My monthly pension, though modest, is enough to cover my living expenses, and I can even save over $1,101 each month. This financial stability is a tremendous source of relief. It shows me that even those without a substantial financial foundation can find living arrangements that cater to their needs, provided they are proactive in seeking solutions. It is every elderly person's right to live comfortably and to approach the final years of life with dignity and without unnecessary suffering. I firmly believe that, with thoughtful planning, elderly individuals can craft lifestyles that provide peace, security, and a sense of belonging. Even a modest emergency fund can serve as a lifeline in times of crisis, providing a sense of stability when the world feels unpredictable. However, we must acknowledge that human nature is practical and often selfish. It's disheartening to see how, despite strong familial bonds, the weight of life's challenges can cause those bonds to falter. This reality underscores the importance of having safety nets in place to protect ourselves from unnecessary pain and hardship, no matter how devoted our children may be. In the end, while we may call for unconditional filial piety, it is crucial to understand the real-life struggles of our children. The financial demands we place on them should be reasonable and consider their capacity to support us. Even a single bank transfer can solve many problems, alleviating stress and providing peace of mind during challenging times. Life is unpredictable, and having a safety net can be a powerful source of hope when things seem uncertain. The journey of reflection, embracing growth and tranquility. In later years, as we journey through life, we realize that circumstances can sometimes backfire, creating unnecessary tension. However, life is ultimately a journey of personal growth, and this journey doesn't stop with age. No matter how old we become, or whether we are able to live independently, maintaining a positive mindset and embracing tranquility allows us to discover the best version of ourselves. Each new day presents an opportunity for growth, connection, and joy, even in our later years. In the exploration of financial planning, family dynamics, and the right to a comfortable old age, we have touched on key lessons that can help guide our decisions moving forward. These insights are not just theoretical, they are actionable steps that can lead to more fulfilling and peaceful lives. As we wrap up, I encourage you to reflect on what you've learned today. What insights have resonated with you the most? I would love to hear your thoughts. Please comment below with one key takeaway that you plan to apply in your life moving forward. If you found this video valuable, please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more insightful content.